Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Behind Her Brand Leadership Talk Series. As you all know, we have been interviewing women from literally all different industries, all levels of growth. And today I have such an exciting person that we are going to be introducing to some. And some of you may know her already, but you'll hopefully learn some new things about her in this episode today. Her name is Shara Goswick, and she's going to be talking to us about her journey as a podcaster. And it's been such an incredible journey. So I'm excited for today's interview, and I welcome you, Shara, today to our Behind Her Brand Leadership Talk Series.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Okay. So tell me, before we tell me about all of the incredible things you're doing now and your new branding, because I want you to share a little bit about that too. Tell us first who you are, a little bit about who Shara is.
I am Shara Goswick. I've been married for 32 years. I have 3 grown children and 2 grandchildren. I like to read a lot. I volunteer at our local pregnancy center. That's a passion of mine as well. I love being involved in Behind Her Brand. Love all the things, all the connections I've made, the friends I've made, the things I've learned. Really, my podcast has been my focus for the last 2 years. So I do my podcast in between taking care of my family and my home and being with my grandkids. And I just kind of do what I can when I can.
Yes. So why did you start the podcast? Tell us a little bit about like what led up to creating it, and then tell us what your podcast is.
So I started it for fun. My podcast is called
Mhm.
Life Stories, and I really did start it for fun. I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I love, I guess I said this recently. I guess I'm just nosy. I like knowing, where people were from and how did you get here?
Yeah.
And I just like knowing about people's lives. And so originally I started it for fun. I know people
Mhm.
in my personal life that have really neat stories, and I thought it would be fun to share. And what it kind of turned into was, as I started having guests, I was talking to people that were helping other people.
Mhm.
And so then that's really became my focus. I really wanted to talk to people that were helping others. So I've spoken to a lot of people that have started nonprofits, a lot of people who volunteer for nonprofits, people who
Mhm.
have skills. Maybe it's a business, it's not a nonprofit, but they're using it specifically to help, other people. I've talked to authors, just people
Yeah.
who are helping others in a lot of different kind of ways.
Yeah.
That's why I started it.
So let me ask you, what has been one of the most like rewarding things about having your podcast?
When people tell me that something, one of the episodes really spoke to them
Mhm.
or something someone said. Recently, I had a friend, I've not talked to her in I don't know how many years. It's somebody I grew up with, and she messaged me to tell me she had some stuff going on with her family and a family member passed away, and she listens to my podcast every week. I didn't know that. And the episode that week when she was going through all this stuff was the one on grief. And it was
Mhm.
just, she said, God works in mysterious ways. I'm like, yes, he does. But
Yeah.
it just made me feel good, not because I did anything, but because it was an encouragement to her. Those kinds of things are what just make me so happy that I get to do what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
So I know you've interviewed quite a bit
Mhm.
over the last couple of years. Can you tell us about some of your favorite stories, which I'm sure all of them are,
Oh
so that no one
gosh,
gets
they're
upset?
all my favorite. They're all my favorite.
Are there any
The
that
one
like really that kind of stand out to you?
the one that I always go back to, because there's some incredible people doing incredible things, but I always go back to this farm in Virginia. If I could visit anybody that I've talked to, that's the place I wanna go. My husband wants to go as well. It's called JK Community Farm. They're in Virginia. It's a 150-acre farm. It's run by,
Wow.
I think they have 3 staff members and all volunteers, and they give everything away. They don't sell any of it, they don't keep it. They give it all away to food pantries and
Wow.
people who are food insecure. And that interview just blew me away. And so I want to go. I want to go get my hands in the dirt and help plant
Yeah.
or pick or whatever. Those are the kind of things that just they're incredible to me. That's
Yeah.
always my top one. There's a lot that I loved.
Now, I would love for you to share another one because that's amazing. Just even doing that. Can you imagine if many farms did some form of that into some
I know.
capacity? How
I
much that can
know.
help so much within respective states with food, homelessness, all the things. I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge.
It was neat. One was, in Ohio, it's called OGO, and it's these 2
Okay.
women who helped out in their community, but they realized there were a lot of different areas of the community where the people couldn't get to the things they were doing, like a pumpkin
Yeah.
patch or a Christmas, they couldn't get Christmas trees or they couldn't do this thing, so they became mobile. So they take all
Mm.
these fun activities to different areas in their communities that they don't have cars or can't get
Yeah.
where they want to. So she said they would do like a pumpkin patch on a big um, trailer. And so kids
Yeah.
could come and pick out a pumpkin or take pictures or do whatever. And they would deliver Christmas trees to people. And that blew me away because I don't think about people that don't have Christmas trees. Like that's not ever crossed my mind. But there are
Exactly.
people that's a luxury. And
Yeah.
so I just thought that was beautiful that they would travel to these different areas and just hand them out, with
Yeah.
ornaments and everything else. But I
Oh,
loved that one. I love Lasagna Love. I took part in that one as soon as I hung up with the woman I interviewed. I know it's a national program,
mm-hmm.
but someone can sign up on Lasagna Love if they need a hot meal. Once a month, they can sign up for a free lasagna. And then
Okay.
you can sign up to bake lasagna. And you can do it every week. You can do it every month. You set your schedule how you want to do it. You
Yeah.
set the area that you're willing to travel to deliver it. And it's supposed to be no contact, so it's not like, you
Yeah.
don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, but,
Right.
I think I've done 6 so far, and it's such an easy thing. It's so simple,
Yeah.
just making a lasagna, but for somebody that needs a hot meal, the last one that I did, by the time I got matched to this person, I contacted them the day after I got matched, and the daughter of the person I was matched to messaged me back and said that from the time they signed up for it until I got to her mother, who had signed up for it, passed away. And she said, if it's okay, we'd still like to receive lasagna because she was so excited to sign up for this program. And I said, oh my gosh, yes, I will do that. So I don't normally do this, but I gave her lasagna and I brought a whole bunch of other stuff because I
Yeah.
was just honored to be able to still do that for that family. And it's just, it's something
Wow.
little and simple, but to me, it's very
Yeah.
powerful.
But so
So
funny, it's not little at all, actually. It's huge.
for somebody that needs it, it is. To me, it doesn't feel like I'm doing something grand, but it's for somebody that
Mm.
needs a hot meal, it's a
Yeah.
big deal. And so I'm happy. I'm happy to be able to participate when I can.
What's cool about the different groups that you're interviewing and you're showcasing on your podcast is that, like you said, it's happening in different states. And like
Mhm.
I've never heard about it here in the Texas area, but someone
Right.
can hear your podcast and see what someone's doing somewhere and be like inspired to do that for their local community. And can you
Yes.
imagine more and more people keep doing that? People can have their hot meals.
Yes.
Food insecurity can definitely be addressed in different areas. I mean,
Yeah.
like all the different things that you're sharing, like I would have never thought at all about Christmas trees and delivering Christmas trees.
I
I just,
know.
you think food, cans, clothes, furniture, but
Right.
not Christmas trees. But I can see the
Yeah.
value of
Yes. I can't imagine not
that.
having a tree. And so it just never occurred to me that there are people that don't have Christmas trees every year, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So it's a cool concept in terms of what you're doing by showcasing the different groups that are showing
Mhm.
how they're helping and building in communities. So let me flip this another way. What
Okay.
have you learned about yourself in interviewing these different people? Because I'm sure that it's expanding even how you see the world and see
Oh,
how
yeah.
to be a support and all of that. So how has it changed you starting your podcast?
Um, it's definitely made me more confident in being able to ask more questions to
Mhm.
people, not just behind my computer, but in real life, and to
Yeah.
pay attention to details and things that I might not have otherwise.
Hmm.
Um, it's made me, I mean, I thought I was compassionate.
Yeah.
I would have thought I was, but I think it's made me really be more aware of
Mhm.
situations that people are dealing with, that I might not have before. Because
Yeah.
I've had to really these people have opened my eyes to a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought about. And so
Yeah.
I hope that's how it's changing me,
Yeah. No, I know, I think it
you
is. I
know?
mean, because from reading you from when you started it, you know, um,
Mhm.
you definitely seem more confident in terms of just being out there even more, which I want to ask you a little bit about that too. But even when you're sharing all these different stories, it can't help but change you a little bit to kind of
Right.
see just what can you do even in the space that you're in. Because I'm a big believer, and tell me how you feel about this, is what they're doing in their community. it makes you think, what can I be doing in my own community? It doesn't
Right.
have to be exactly what they're doing, but it can make you think, if there's something, whatever it might be, can
Yeah.
make a big difference. It makes you start thinking along those
Sure.
lines. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why has nothing to do with my podcast, but that's why I signed up to volunteer at the pregnancy center,
Yeah.
because I knew there was something that I could do. The
Mhm.
world was kind of going in an uproar, and I thought, okay, I'm a
Mhm.
Christian and I'm supposed to love and I'm supposed to serve. How can I do this? And I was a teen mom. And so
Yeah.
I know what these young women are dealing with, but that's exactly why, and what you just said, why I signed up for that.
I
So,
love that. Okay, so what has been one of the most challenging things about starting your podcast?
um, uh, I think I haven't had to do this much,
Okay.
but dealing with people who, um, this has only happened twice, people that don't
Okay.
show up for
Okay.
an interview. Um, I haven't had to deal with that a whole lot, but it's very irritating when you
Mhm.
set your whole schedule around something and then they don't even
Yeah.
contact or, let you know anything. That's been challenging. I think the other thing is trying to balance everything that has to be done, because there's a lot of things that have to be done for it
Mhm.
to look well and for it, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to
Yes.
figure things out. Um, but I'm trying not to get overwhelmed with every step that has to be done. I had to make myself a form, my own self a form,
Yeah.
to check things off to make sure I was getting everything done. And I am
Yeah.
old. I have to see it on paper. I can't do it on my phone. I can't see a little digital, like I have to see
Yeah.
it. So, that's been, I guess, the other challenging part is just trying not to get overwhelmed, because my first priority is my family, whether
Yeah.
it's taking care of my home or making sure my husband doesn't need
Mhm.
anything done, or if my grandkids, if I need to keep my grandkids, like those are my
Right.
first priorities. And
Yeah.
so the podcast kind of happens in between life. And so
Yeah.
I'm learning to balance everything, I guess, is probably the most challenging.
And that's for all of us, and I think it's always a
Right.
constant thing, just always trying to find that balance. And also too,
Yeah.
your podcast started to grow too, and you're taking it into different
Mhm.
forms. So can you share a little bit
Yes.
about kind of where your podcast is today, and kind of what people can expect when they tune in?
So I'm still talking to people who are helping other people, but there were other things that
Mhm.
I wanted to do. And at my 2-year mark, which was recently, I wanted to have
Mhm.
new headshots made. And I thought, okay, if I do new pictures, if I'm going to change anything, let's just do it all at one time. And so
Yeah.
that's what I did. And so life stories is still life stories, but now I have 3 different kind of sections, I guess. I'm
Yeah.
doing people helping people, which is what I've been doing this whole time. But I'm also doing ministries making a difference. And I've talked to some ministries, but now I kind of have a place to do it as much as I want
Yeah.
to showcase them. And I already have a couple that have reached out to me. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
doing that. But I also love to read. I read a lot, and I read a lot of fiction. I do read nonfiction. I like biographies,
Mhm.
but I read a lot of fiction, and I have so much respect for authors. And I would
Mhm.
love to, like, I love talking to somebody after I read a good book. So I would love to talk to authors. So I have
Mhm.
4. I've already spoken to 2, and I'll do that once a month. But I'm doing for the love of books. So it'll still be
Mm.
life stories, but I'm having 3 different kind of types of interviews, I guess, on there.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. I have interviews booked through February, so I
Nice.
am staying very busy.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about that, because I know you love books. Like, so you love featuring
Mhm.
ministries and groups and people doing incredible things. So how do you plan on marketing all these different shows? Because I know it's on one show per se, on their life stories, but
Right.
they are very 3 different audiences.
So I am doing, the authors I have the most interviews set up for, and I'm doing that the 3rd Tuesday of the month, and I've kind of announced that, and I probably will need to do, like, a monthly schedule, maybe a post with each week what I'm gonna have or who I'm gonna talk to on there. Um, I don't know. I don't like making changes all the time, because
Yeah.
I don't know how that affects people. So I don't know if I will do the ministries on Mondays or maybe pick another day of the week to just start doing those. I don't
Yeah.
have enough yet, I feel like, to, have a full schedule for those. So I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure all this out, how to do it. But as
Yeah.
of right now, everything is on Monday. Every Monday I will have an episode and I clarify what it is, what segment it goes into and who I'm talking to. And I started doing reels, which I know I should have done that a long time ago, but that's hard for me.
But you know what, I will say this, what I love, and this is why we love doing these talk series, is I feel like now you're in a space where you can start doing these different things because you
Mhm.
have to learn first your own groove, which is podcasting
Yes.
consistently. And that's something that I do want to point out, because when you're starting something new, so often it's easy to and go, stop and go.
Right.
You haven't really done a lot of stop and go.
Mhm.
You've been very consistent, even when it was hard. And I remember seasons
Yes.
where you're just like, okay, Kim, this is a little bit harder than I thought. And you could have given up. So I do want to
Mhm.
ask you that, like, why didn't you give up when you weren't getting the listeners at that time? Now you are, but
Yeah.
at that time you weren't really getting the traction. What made you keep going forward no matter what?
I know in my heart this is something I'm supposed to be doing right now. I believe this is where the position that the Lord has put me in, whether I
Mhm.
have 10 people listening or 10,000 people listening, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, I have to do what I know God wants me to do no
Mhm.
matter what. I can't, it's very easy to get sucked into numbers and
Yeah.
comparison. And well, this person has a better podcast than me and they sound better and they do this. It's so easy to get sucked into that, but I'm doing it for the Lord. I'm not doing it for anybody else.
Yeah.
And if I can stay focused on that, then I have no desire to quit. I mean, I want to keep going. I want to keep going as long as he wants me here. This is what I'm
Yeah.
going to keep doing.
I love that. And I'm glad you said that, because I think so often it's easy to say, well, God gave me to do this, but it's not going right. So maybe he's not. Because one thing I didn't hear you say is that you questioned. You didn't question that he gave you this
No.
platform to do. You knew that it was. And despite
Yeah.
if it's up and down, you still kept persevering. And now you're 2 years. And how many
Yeah.
episodes?
I'm almost to 100. I'm almost to
Wow.
100. I didn't do a full 52 in the first year. I
Hmm.
was a little sporadic in the beginning, but I'm almost to 100. So, yeah.
That is so awesome.
It's crazy. It's crazy because when I think back, I don't know if you asked me this or somebody asked me this
Mhm.
recently. Did you see yourself where you are now when you first started? And I said, no, I didn't
Yeah.
know. I really couldn't see that far ahead to
Yeah.
really know where I would be. And so to me, it's just crazy that
Yeah.
it is where it is.
So what would you say to someone who's like, okay, I want to start a podcast. I don't have a big audience, or maybe they don't have an audience at all.
Yeah.
What would you say to them in terms of just encouragement and in terms of how to get started?
Oh gosh. I would say do it. I would say, have a very specific plan. You
Mhm.
don't have to have, 100 episodes figured out, but have a good, and you talked about this at one time. You need to
Mhm.
have like 25 or so, 25 to 30. Like make a list of things that you would talk about ahead of time, because
Mhm.
if you do it every week, you're going to be scrambling and life's going to happen and then it's going to be easy to drop it. So make a
Yes.
plan. Have a specific niche or whatever it is you're going to talk about,
Yeah.
and maybe write out so many episodes of what you want to do.
Mhm.
When I started, and I'm still not spending a lot of money, but I don't
Mhm.
have, I mean, I just got a fancy microphone, but I just got this like the other day. I've not had it for 2 years. And so I used what I had and it worked fine. You don't have to
Mhm.
have the fanciest of anything to do
Yeah.
it. Um, the software that I use online is free. Everything is
Mhm.
free that I use. So you can
Yeah.
do it without spending a lot of money, and you just have to do it. You just
Yeah.
have to step out there and do it.
What do you wish that somebody would have told you back then when you started that you would tell someone now about being a podcaster?
Don't put so much pressure on yourself to have it all figured out at one time, because it's not gonna
Mhm.
happen, or it didn't for me, for sure. I mean, maybe I'm a slow learner, I don't know, but I tend to get overwhelmed with too much that I feel is expected of me, and nobody was
Mhm.
expecting anything of me but me. I was the one putting pressure on myself. Don't do that. Don't put pressure on yourself. You're not gonna figure it all out fast. It's not gonna be perfect in the beginning, and that's okay. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to sit and listen to someone who is perfect at everything.
Yeah.
That's not real. That's not what we're
Mhm.
used to. So just do it. Just do it and have fun, enjoy it, and don't be afraid to ask. That's one thing that I'm not afraid to do, is ask somebody for an interview. Don't be afraid to ask, because you never know who's gonna say
Yeah.
yes. So,
Oh, I love that. Okay, so any closing thoughts? Just, I know we've been gearing a lot of questions to the podcasters, but just
Mhm.
maybe just someone who's looking at this and maybe they're not starting a podcast, but they're getting ready to launch a website, a blog, or something. Any advice that you would just give to that business professional that's watching here today, just about lessons maybe you've learned from your journey?
I said this in the intro to the last one I did, and it's the truth. You will regret not trying a lot more than you will regret trying and failing.
Mm,
One day you're gonna kick yourself that you didn't try, you didn't at least try
yeah.
way more than if you do it and you fail, at least you tried. At least you put some effort into it because you don't know. You don't know if it's gonna be successful or not. How are you gonna know if you don't step out and try it?
Oh, that's good. Well, I'll end it there on that. Because I think it's, I'm not I wouldn't say a risk taker, but I am someone that loves to try. And like you
Mhm.
said, at least I can always say I made an attempt. And if
Yes.
it didn't work out, it didn't work out. And maybe tweaking it, maybe, just kind of figuring out the next step. But you try.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you definitely did that with your podcast and everything that you're building. So before we close,
Mhm.
and I appreciate everything that you share because I think it's so easy, especially in podcasters that I've talked to, they give up so quickly, and like you said,
Mhm.
you're just doing it because you're called to it and the numbers will grow. And they have been growing, and people are being, I'm sure, engaging more with your platform the more
Mhm.
you're consistent. And that's another
Right.
big thing that I want to kind of throw in a little pebble, that you're consistent, very,
Yeah.
very consistent. Um, so that being said, how can someone support you? Where can they find you? Share all that information.
So my website is lifestoriespodcast.com and everything is on there. I have my latest guests on there. Actually, I have a list of all of my guests and I have each
Mhm.
section, people helping people, ministries, and the books. I have it all separated so it's clear.
Nice.
Um, I'm on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. I mean, the best way to help is to obviously listen, but write
Yeah.
a review or like and
Mhm.
share. Definitely share any of the episodes. That
Mhm.
always helps tremendously.
Nice. Well, thank you. I appreciate you joining us today and sharing all your insights. And I'm just so happy for you and everything that you're doing and all the areas now that you're going into.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And behind her brand, I'm telling you, I'm not saying this because it's you. It's the truth that really was that first conference was a launching pad for my
Mm,
podcast because I met so many women who, even though we weren't doing the same things, we were kind of a
mm.
lot of people in the same boat. We're all trying to make connections and grow whatever it is we're doing. And that was a tremendous help. Tremendous. So I'll always be thankful for that.
No, I appreciate that. And it's good to hear that because, that's how, what I believe in is each of us supporting each other in the ways
Mhm.
that we can, not just in
Yeah,
words, but really showing up for each other. So,
sure.
yes, so I appreciate your time, Shara. And ladies, as we continue to show these different talks, I encourage you to check out different women's or businesses blogs, platforms, and support them. One thing I find is even if you've never heard of them, don't know anything about them, you'll find very quickly how much you can connect to people's platforms. The more that you
Sure.
spend time getting to know them, and you can kind of build a connection from there. So I'll say this one more thing is one of the things that I know for a fact for our platform. We don't feature women that are not open to connection. We don't feature women that are unreachable. I mean, these are women that are open to you connecting, reaching out, supporting. Shara is amazing at it. She supports everyone. I can look at the Facebook, I can
I
see
love
supporting all
everybody.
kind of people. But and I wanted to share that because so often as women we say that we're doing this alone, and you don't have to. That's a choice, in my
Right.
opinion. You don't have to do it alone. So just want to encourage you all to reach out to women like Shara, that we feature on these talks, because that's why we're doing them, so you can learn a little bit more about them and then also about their platforms. So I appreciate each of you all joining us today, and until next week, I encourage you to check out Life Stories and all that she's doing. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.